तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः।
ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कर्मशापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना. We are studying the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and we are still in the conversations of June 13, 1885. And we were hearing about where we were. Oh, how am I missing? Captain arrived with his children. Sri Ramakrishna, where we lost him? Oh, yes, okay. No. Where is no mark? I always put marks. I'm missing. Please wait. I will find out. Oh, here. Oh, it is not interactive. Can somebody write here where we were last time? What page or what line? Please, one of the listeners, write page number or something where we left last time. Gauri and all that said to Keshav. I read the page number 7. Somehow I'm missing my mark. Okay, we shall pick up from some source. Bengali page number 849. Okay, I will catch it. Master Gauri Wood. Okay. Okay, thank you. 840. राजा कोणतं पान कुठे वाचत होतो? हॅलो,
must be 794 in your book.
794 ना? बस ठीक आहे, ठीक आहे, वाचते मी पाहतो. हो हो, मिळालं, मार्क मिळाला माझा. 794. हा, ठीक आहे. ते म्हणतात ते 849. कसं झालं माझं? काल झोपत होतो तुम्ही. हो, ठीक आहे, ठीक आहे, इथे रिबन मिळाली म्हणजे. हा, केशव. हा, ठीक आहे, ठीक आहे, ठीक आहे, ठीक आहे. आय गॉट इट, आय गॉट इट. केशव सेन के बोलायचे लांब. ओके. No, it much before 849. Array, it is line is here. Okay. I said to Keshav, who have picked up, please, we have lost some time, but I'll continue. I said to Keshav, you must renounce your ego. Keshav replied, if I do, how can I keep my organization together? I said to him, काय? Hello?
Hello, Maharaj, I told you 794. Not 49.
794?
794.
इतकं वाचलंय पण सगळं नाही रे.
नाही महाराज, हे त्रैलोक्यपासून आपण इथे तुम्ही थांबवा.
ठीक आहे, ठीक आहे, मी आता घेतोय कुठून तरी. We shall pick up here. Trailokya was seated on the floor to the north of the small coach. He was going to sing. Sri Ramakrishna said to him, "Ah, how sweetly you sing." Trailokya sang to the accompaniment of a tanpura. Okay, fine. 894 is different, 849 is different. Anyway. Okay, sorry. I have joined my heart to thee. All that exists are thou. The only have I found, for thou art all that exists. O Lord, beloved of my heart, thou art the home of all. Wherein indeed is the heart in which thou does not dwell. Thou hast entered every heart. All that exists are thou. Oh, तुझसे हमने दिल को लगाया is this song. It's a famous song. It is a Sufi song. It's a Sufi song. तुझसे हमने दिल को लगाया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है.
Stop.
पेज 790 का
791.
791 ठीक है.
Stop.
बिगनिंग.
English version.
हाँ, मेरा मार्क मिल गया. ठीक है. थैंक यू. Oh, sorry. Trailokya. It is very difficult to get rid of the ego. People only think they are free from it. We got it, huh? Okay, thank you. I said to Keshav, you must renounce your ego. Keshav replied, I was reading correctly. How can I keep my organization together? I said to him, how slow you are to understand. I am not asking you to renounce the ripe ego. The ego that makes a man feel he is a servant of God or his devotee. Give up the unripe ego. The ego that creates attachment to woman and gold. The ego that makes a man feel he is God's servant, his child, is the ripe ego. It doesn't harm anyone. Correct. Okay? That is the point. English page 791 start. So Trailokya asks, we are gone, huh? It is very difficult to get rid of the ego. People only think they are free from it, master. Yes, this we are not read. Gauri would not refer to himself as I, lest he should feel egotism, etc. Egotistic. Gauri is the Bengali custom of only half the name. Gauri Kanta may be Pandit Gauri. He was a tantric sadhak and he was a real sadhak. And he could recognize Sri Ramakrishna as the incarnation. And so, about Gauri, Sri Ramakrishna is telling, Gauri would not refer to himself as I, lest he should feel egotistic. He would say this instead. I followed his example and would refer to myself as this instead of I. Instead of saying I have eaten, I would say this has eaten. Mathur noticed it and said one day, what is this rivets, father? Why should you talk that way? Let them talk that way. They have their egotism. You are free from it. You don't have to talk like them. You understand this point? But later on, Thakur could not say I. Thakur, Gauri was trying to feel not ego. That Mathur understood. And Thakur has no ego. So even if he says I, it does not mean ego. So Mathur said, you need not speak like that. But we find Thakur could not speak I. That is a different thing. Because now I will tell you this I of Thakur. You see, he is either in Nirvikal Samadhi or he himself feels hundreds of times he has told. He is all that exists. He is all pervading. Now, if he is all pervading, if all the bodies are his bodies, then which body he shall sell I? That is the problem. Now, this body of his has very special things which nobody has. So he has referred to it. Please follow. Either Thakur is in Nirvikal Samadhi or he feels himself to be the all-pervading reality. Now, all-pervading reality itself is felt in two ways. The whole world is my body, or all the bodies are my bodies. Now, if all the bodies are my bodies, I am living inside everybody, then which body to call I? That is the first thing. Secondly, this body of his, this mind of his, as incarnation are totally different from every other body. And so he has to refer to it. He has to refer to himself, what we call himself, again and again. But how to call this body I and not that body I from his point of view? And so he started saying, here, this body, this, here, this man belongs here, does not belong here. So, we are clear now? Gauri Pandit was trying to feel non-egotistic, this Mathur understood, and Thakur started imitating him. Mathur said, you need not do that, you don't have ego. But now, we find Thakur, I think I explained everything. Thakur is feeling he is present inside everybody. So, this body is I, that body is not I. How can he say like that? But he has to tell again and again the special features of this body and this mind as an example for everybody. It is clear that he is the incarnation of God. This body, this mind is the incarnation of God. Not all bodies. Please understand Vedanta clearly. A man who has realized himself to be the reality feels like that all bodies are his body. But Thakur is a special case. He is not that type of Leela of God, but this body, this mind has directly come from God. And so, these are the 2 points with his mind. Because he, as a realized person, he as Brahman himself is in all the bodies. But this body and this mind has come directly from God, as from Gaya Vishnu, as from the Yogi Shiv Mandir. So this body and this mind are very special. And again he has to refer to it for the people to get enlightened, to people to know what is the truth, what a man should feel. And so he has to refer to himself, and that he cannot do as my I, because he is in all the body. Simultaneously, he is this. And so he says here, I said to Keshav, since the ego cannot be given up, let it remain as the servant of God. Prahlada had 2 moods. Sometimes he would feel that he was God. In that mood, he would say, thou art verily I, and I am verily thou. But when he was conscious of his ego, he felt that God was the master and he was his servant. So he has explained through Prahlada very beautifully. So Thakur sometimes says, I am the servant. After a man is firmly established in the ideal of I am he can live as God's servant. He may then think of himself as the servant of God. Okay. After he has realized, he can live with a particular relation to captain. When a man attains the knowledge of Brahman, he shows certain characteristics. So how to know he has realized? The Bhagavata describes 4 of them. The state of a child, because there is no ego. Of an inert thing, because no reactions. Of a madman, because of the intoxication. And of a ghor, because he does not care for outside cleanliness. Sometimes the knower of Brahman acts like a 5-year-old child. Sometimes he acts like a madman. Sometimes he remains like an inert thing. In this state, he cannot work. He renounces all action. He cannot work. He renounces all action because I am the doer is gone. You may say that Jnani is like Janaka were active. The truth is that people in olden times gave responsibility to their subordinates, officers, and thus freed themselves from worry. So Janaka was monarch. So he distributed the duties. That is how in the Ramakrishna mission or any head of any place should feel himself that he has the best administrator, I would say, best management, human management is that right man in the right place and he is free. I have seen my Guruji doing like that. That is why I am saying. He appoints, you do this work, you do this work, you do this work. One day he said also, I will tell about my Guruji now. He was not practical in the physical sense. He said he does not know how to tie an door. He does not know how to heat milk and drink. Even that some devotee taught him how to dry his clothes, how to tie a mosquito curtain. So he said, I am impractical. But he told, I will tell you the incident. When he used to come down on the lower ground in summer, he did not have his personal washroom. One of the 3 washrooms common for all monks used to be bolted for him. Now there the artificial seat was made, but in the upper he was accustomed to put his hand, pick up the soap, pick up the tumbler. That was not there in that lower bathroom. So he told the Swami in charge of building to call the engineers. And the engineers came who had constructed all the buildings of the ashram. And they saw and they said it is not possible to do in this room. Now, our Swami Bhaumananda, all of you know him. He used to be our Swamiji's sevak. So he told him lovingly, see, can you do something? He did not reply. He went and tied some wires or something and he did not tell anyone. And the Swami, when he went there, he remembered only the upper thing and automatically his hands went there. And he found the things are there. That day he said, I am also practical. I know which man to be put in which place. So this is the practicality. of the top bosses. Now, that is what Thakur is pointing out here. When a man attains, so about Janaka is telling, you may say that Jnani is like Janaka were active. The truth is that people in olden time, Janaka's time, gave responsibility to their subordinates, officers, and thus freed themselves from worry. Further, at that time, men possessed intense faith. Okay. Sri Ramakrishna began to speak about the renunciation of action, but he also said that those who felt they must do their duties should do them in a detached spirit. This Master's reflection, huh? Master, after attaining knowledge, one cannot do much work. Trilokya. Why so, sir? Pawari Baba was a great yogi, and yet he reconciled people's quarrels, even lawsuits. Master, yes, that's true. Dr. Durga Charan was a great drunkard. He used to drink 24 hours a day, but he was precise in his actions. He did not make any mistake in treating his patient. There is no harm in doing work after the attainment of bhakti, but it is very hard. One needs intense tapasya. Attainment of bhakti, not of realization. It is God who does everything. That is the truth. We are his instruments. Some Sikhs said to me in front of the Kali temple, God is compassionate. I said, to whom is he compassionate? Why, revered sir, to all of us, said the Sikh. I said, where a children does compassion to one's own children mean much? A father must look after his children, or do you expect the people of the neighborhood to bring them up? Well, won't those who say that God is compassionate ever understand that we are God's children and not someone else's? So, not that God is not compassionate, but He loves us. We are His children. If this consciousness could come, all problems would vanish. And that is what Thakur has been telling again and again. This Ra, I, means I am the body. I am the son of so-and-so, I am the father of so-and-so, is body. And I am God's servant, God's amsha, God's devotee. My origin is God. And so, if my origin is God, who is the doer? Does he not love me? If he has created me, he himself actually has appeared as me. And so, this love supersedes his so-called compassion. Captain, you are right that they don't regard God as their own. Those who say that Captain has to fall in line. Master, should we not then address God as compassionate? You see, of course we should, as long as we practice sadhana. After realizing God, we rightly feel that God is our father or mother. So today it is our bhava, our attitude. But after realization, this becomes real. See the delicate change, difference. As long as we have not realized God, we feel that we are far away from Him, children of someone else. So, knowledge, feeling, bhava, attitude are different stages. During the stage of sadhana, one should describe God by all His attributes. One day, Hazara said to Narendra, God is infinity. Infinite is His splendor. Do you think He will accept your offerings of sweets and bananas or listen to your music? So that is totally misleading. Totally misleading. This is a mistaken notion of yours. Narendra at once sank 10 fathoms. So I said to Hazra, you villain, where will these youngsters be if you talk to them like that? How can a man live if he gives up devotion? No doubt, God has infinite splendor, yet he is under the control of his devotees. Aha. A rich man's gatekeeper comes to the parlor where his master is seated with his friends. He stands on one side of the room. In his hand, he has something covered with a cloth. He is very hesitant. The master asks him, well, gatekeeper, what have you in your hand? Very hesitantly, the servant takes out a custard apple from under the cover, places it in front of the master and says, sir, it is my desire that you should eat this. The master is impressed by his servant's devotion. With great love, he takes the fruit in his hand and says, this is a very nice custard apple. Where did you pick it? You must have taken a great deal of trouble to get it. You understand? Thakur's illustrations are absolute. God is under the control of his devotees. King Duryodhana was very attentive to Krishna and said to him, please have your meal here. But the Lord went to Vidura's hut. He is very fond of his devotees. He ate Vidura's simple rice and greens as if they were celestial food. Some people say they go further and they say Vidura in his intoxication was peeling bananas and throwing the substance and giving the skins to God, and God was eating that. That is carrying too much. Sri Ramakrishna says he was eating the simple food given by Vidura. You know about Vidura? Vidura is the step brother of Dhritarashtra and Pandu. He was born of a maid servant from the same father. And he is the minister, chief minister in Dhritarashtra's cabinet. But he was a great devotee of Sri Krishna. And Duryodhana used to behave like a king. Sometimes a perfect Gnani behaves like a ghor. He does not discriminate about food and drink, holiness and unholiness. A perfect knower of God and a perfect idiot have the same outer signs. A perfect Gnani perhaps does not utter the mantras while bathing in the Ganges. While worshipping God, perhaps he offers all the flowers together at his feet. He doesn't utter the mantras, nor does he observe the rituals. A man cannot renounce action as long as he desires worldly enjoyments. As long as one cherishes a desire for enjoyment, one performs action. This is exactly what the Vedantas say. Avidya, kama, karma. The ignorance desires work. Work is always a result of desires. After realization is totally different. And sometimes, even in the jnana nishtha, the work is outside. Either given up or outside. Gita, 4th chapter, shloka 18 to 24. A bird sat absent-mindedly on the mast of a ship anchored in the Ganges. Slowly the ship sailed out into the ocean. When the bird came to its senses, it could find no shore in any direction. It flew toward the north, hoping to reach land. It went very far and grew very tired but could find no shore. What could it do? It returned to the ship and sat on the mast. After a long while, the bird flew away again, this time toward the east. It couldn't find land in that direction either. Everywhere it saw nothing but limitless ocean. Very tired, it again returned to the ship and sat on the mast. After resting a long while, the bird went towards the south and then towards the west. When it found no sign of land in any direction, it came back and settled down on the mast. This is a beautiful example. It did not leave the mast again, but sat there without making any further effort. It no longer felt restless or worried. Because it was free from worry, it made no further effort. That means our self-effort continues. And we come to a point to realize that it is taking us nowhere. Then only the real surrender comes. Only saying I surrender is not enough. We have to go on putting self-effort. But the point comes when we understand it carries us nowhere. Then the real surrender comes. That is the meaning of this example. Captain, what an illustration. Master, worldly people wander about to the four quarters of the earth for the sake of happiness. They don't find it anywhere. They only become tired and weary. When through their attachment to woman and gold, they only suffer misery, they feel an urge towards dispassion and renunciation. Most people cannot renounce woman and gold without first enjoying it. Moganta it is called. There are two sorts of people. Those who stay in one place and those who go about to many places. Kuti, Chak and Bahudak they are called. There are some sadhakas who visit many sacred places. They cannot settle down in one spot. They must drink the water of many holy places. Bahu Udaka. Udaka means water. Thus, roaming about, they satisfy their unfulfilled desires. And at last, they build a hut in one place and settle down there. Then, free from worry and effort, they meditate on God. So, self-effort, then understanding, then surrender. Through that example, Mass and through this Bahudak and Kuti-Chak. The world is like an overcast sky that steadily pours down rain. The face of the sun is seldom seen. There is mostly suffering in the world. On account of the cloud of woman and gold, one cannot see the sun. Some people ask me, Sir, why has God created such a world? Is there no way out for us? I say to them, why shouldn't there be a way out? Take shelter with God and pray to Him with a yearning heart for a favorable wind. Then that you may have things in your favor. If you call on Him with yearning, He will surely listen to you. So, every direction He has given illustrations to carry the conviction deep into us. A man had a son who was on the point of death. In a frenzy, he asked remedies of different people. One of them said, here is a remedy. First, it must rain when the star Swati is in the ascendant. Then some of the rain must fall into a skull. Then a frog must come there to drink the water, and a snake must chase it. And when the snake is about to bite the frog must hop away, and the poison must fall into that skull. You should give the patient a little of that poison and rainwater from the skull. So, very difficult, no? The father set out eagerly to find the medicine when the star Swati was in the sky. It started raining. Fervently said to God, oh God, please get a skull for me. Searching here and there, he at last found a skull with rainwater in it. Again he prayed to God, saying, "O God, I beseech thee, please help me find the frog and the snake." Since he had great longing, he got the frog and the snake also. In the twinkling of an eye, he saw a snake chasing a frog, and as it was about to bite the frog, the poison fell into the skull. So everything will come round. The meaning of this is impossible seeing conditions will come round if you start and pray to God. If you start and pray to God, all impossible appearing conditions also will straighten out. Faith. He said in the last para, faith. If one takes shelter with God and prays to Him with great longing, God will surely listen. He will certainly make everything favorable. Captain, what an apt illustration. Master, yes, God makes everything favorable. Perhaps the aspirant doesn't marry. Thus he is able to devote his whole attention to God. Or perhaps his brothers earn the family's livelihood. Or perhaps a son takes on the responsibility of the family, then the aspirant will not have to bother about the world. He can give 100% of his mind to God. So examples he has given, and now he shows the examples in human life. But one cannot succeed unless one renounces woman and God. So basic structure is there. Only by renunciation is ignorance destroyed. The sun's rays falling on a lens burn many objects. They become concentrated. But if a room is dark inside, you cannot get that result. You must come out of the room to use the lens. So you have to require the sunlight. But some people live in the world even after attaining jnana. Every possibility is putting out. They see both what is inside and what is outside the room. The light of God illumines the world. Therefore, with that light, they can discriminate between good and bad, permanent and impermanent. The ignorant who lead a worldly life without knowing God are like people living in a house with mud walls. Mud walls were there in those days. With the help of a dim light, they can see the inside of the house, but nothing more. But those who live in the world after attaining knowledge and realize God are like people living in a glass house. They see the inside of the room and also all that is outside. The light from the sun of knowledge enters strongly into the room. They perceive everything inside the room very clearly. They know what is good and what is bad, what is permanent and what is impermanent. So, illustration, beautiful. God alone is the doer, and we are all his instruments. Therefore, it is impossible even for a jnani to be egotistic. Even to a jnani means because of jnan, sometimes he may become egotistic. But real jnani can never become. We are his instruments only. The writer of a hymn to Shiva felt proud on his achievements, but his pride was dashed to pieces when Shiva's bull bared his teeth. He saw that each tooth was a word of the hymn. Oh, do you understand the meaning of this? These words had existed from the beginningless point. The writer had only discovered them. Ah, wonderful. All knowledge we get is inside. We clean the mind and the knowledge comes out. So we know it should be called we discover. Now Trilokya comes. Okay. 794 comes now. Trilokya was seated on the floor to the north of the small coach. He was going to sing. Sri Ramakrishna said to him, "Ah, how sweetly you sing." Here in Bengali only, one line is given. It is a famous Sufi song. Thakur taught it to Narendranath and used to call it Narendra song. And when Narendra sought Nirvikal Samadhi always, he said, you sing that song? तुझसे हमने दिल को लगाया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है. Thou art my... I have joined my heart to thee. All that exists art thou. Thee only have I found, for thou art all that exists. Thee only have I found as my own, should be added. एक तुझको अपना पाया. Thee only have I found as my own, for thou art all that exists. O Lord, beloved of my heart, thou art the home of all. Where indeed is the heart in which thou does not dwell? Thou hast entered every heart, all that exists are thou, whether sage or fool, whether Hindu or Mussulman, thou makest them as thou wilt. All that exists are thou. Thy presence is everywhere, whether in heaven or in Kaaba. Before thee all must bow, for thou art all that exists. From earth below to the highest heaven, from heaven to the deepest earth, I see thee wherever I look. All that exists are thou. Pondering, I have understood. I have seen it beyond a doubt. I find not a single thing that may be compared to thee. To Jafar it has been revealed that thou art all that exists. He sang again, thou art my all in all, O Lord, the life of my life, the essence of essence. In the three words, I have none else but thee to call my own. Thou art my peace, my joy, my hope, thou my support, my wealth, my glory. Thou art my wisdom and my strength. Thou art my home, my place of rest, my dearest friend, my next of kin, my present and future, thou, my heaven and my salvation, thou art my scripture, my commandments, thou art my ever gracious Guru. Commandments is from the Old Testament of the Bible. Thou the spring of my boundless bliss, thou art the way and thou the goal, thou the adorable one, O Lord, thou art the mother tender-hearted, thou the chastising father, thou the creator and protector, thou the helmsman who dost steer my craft across the sea of life. While Sri Ramakrishna listened to this song, he was overwhelmed with emotion, spiritual feeling. Again and again he said, thou art all, me, me. The music was over. It was 6 o'clock in the evening. Sri Ramakrishna went to the pine grove, him accompanying him. That is to answer calls of nature. Sri Ramakrishna was laughing and talking. Suddenly he said to him, why haven't you eaten any refreshments? Why haven't the others eaten either? He was eager for the devotees to take some refreshments. They were apt to listen to his talks and songs. Sri Ramakrishna was to go to Calcutta in the evening. While returning from the pine grove, he said to him, I don't know who will take me to Calcutta in his carriage. It was evening. A lamp was lighted in Sri Ramakrishna's room and incense was burned. Lamps also were lighted in the different temples and buildings. The orchestra was playing in the Nawab. Soon the evening service would begin in the temples. Sri Ramakrishna sat on the small coach. After chanting the name of the different deities, he meditated on the Divine Mother. That was his daily custom. As soon as evening came, the evening service was over. Sri Ramakrishna paced the room, now and then talking to the devotees. He also consulted him about his going to Calcutta. Presently, Narendra arrived. He was accompanied by Sharat and one or two other young devotees. This Sharat is Sardananda. They all saluted the master. At the sight of Narendra, Sri Ramakrishna's love overflowed. He tenderly touched Narendra's chin as one touches a baby to show one's love. He said in a loving voice, "Ah, you have come." The master was standing in his room facing the Ganges. Narendra and his young friends were talking to him, facing the east. The master turned toward him and said, "Narendra has come. How can I go to Calcutta now? I sent for Narendra. How can I go now? What do you think?" "As you wish, sir. Let us put it off today." Master, "All right. We shall go tomorrow, either by boat or by carriage." To the other devotees, "It is late. Go home now." One by one, the devotees saluted him and departed. So he had cancelled his going. Car fest next, huh? We shall continue today. 15 minutes more. My mistake. Anyway, chapter 42, Car Festival at Balram's house. This is the most interesting part. Monday, July 13, 1885. So from June 13, we have jumped to July 13. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting in Balram's drawing room with the devotees. It was 9 o'clock in the morning. Balram was going to celebrate the car festival the following day. The deity Jagannath was worshipped daily in his house. He had a small car, Ratha. Don't imagine a motor car, which would be drawn along the chariot. It could be called chariot instead of car. But they call it car festival. He had a small car which would be drawn along the veranda to celebrate the festival. The master had been especially invited for the occasion. So he had come on the previous day. Sri Ramakrishna and M were talking together. Narayan, Tej Chandra, Balaram, and other devotees were in the room. The master was talking about Purna, a lad of 15. He was very eager to see the boy. Master to him, "Well, by which road will he come to see me? Please have Purna and Dvija meet each other." Once more we had read this. When two people are of the same age and have the same inner nature, I bring them together. There is a meaning in this. In this way, both make progress. Have you noticed Purna's longing for God? M. Yes, sir. One day I was riding on a tram. He saw me from the roof of his house and ran down to the street. With great fervor, he saluted me from the street. Master, with tears in his eyes, it is because you have helped him make the contact through which he will find out the supreme ideal of his life. One doesn't act like that unless one longs for God. Narendra, the younger Naren, and Purna, these three have a manly nature. It is not so with Bhavanath. He has a womanly nature. Purna is in such an exalted state that either he will very soon give up his body, the body is useless after the realization of God, or his inner nature will within a few days burst forth. He has a divine nature, the traits of a god. It makes a person less fearful of men. If you put a garland of flowers around the neck, or smear his body with sandal paste, or burn incense before him, he will go into samadhi, because he will feel his godhood. For then he will know him beyond the shadow of doubt that Narayana himself dwells in his body. That is, it is Narayana who has assumed a body. I have come to know about it. It happened same with the Thakur also. A few days after my first experience of the God intoxicated state at Dakshineshwar, a lady of a Brahmin family, Yogeshwari Brahmani, arrived there. She had many good traits. No sooner was a garland put round her neck and incense burned before her than she went into samadhi. A few moments later, she experienced great bliss. Tears streamed from her eyes. I saluted her and said, Mother, shall I succeed? Yes, she replied. She might be other than Bhairavi. Huh? I went to say, I want to see Purna once more. But how will it be possible for me? It seems he is a part. That means major share of God is in him. How amazing! Not a mere particle, but a part. Very intelligent to understand that is very clever in his studies. Therefore, I have hit it right. So, if he is God or part of God, he is all round. He is higher than other people. By dint of austerity, a man may obtain God as his son, but the roadside on the way to Kamarpukur is Ranjit Rai's lake. Not but, by the roadside on the way to Kamarpukur is Ranjit Rai's lake. Bhagavati, the Divine Mother, was born and his daughter. Even now, people hold an annual festival there in the month of Chaitra in honor of the Divine Daughter. Chaitra is around April. I feel very much like going there. Ranjit Rai was the landlord of that part of the country. Through the power of his tapasya, he obtained the Divine Mother as his daughter. He was very fond of her. And she too was much attached to him. She hardly left his presence. One day Ranjit Rai was engaged in the duties of his estate. He was very busy. The girl with her childlike nature was constantly interrupting him, saying, Father, what is this? What is that? Ranjit Rai tried with sweet words to persuade her not to disturb him and said, My child, please leave me alone. I have much work to do. But the girl would not go away. At last, absent-mindedly, the father said, Get out of here. On this pretext, she left home. A peddler of conch shell articles was going along the road. From him, she took a pair of bracelets for her wrist. When he asked for the price, she said he could get the money from a certain box in her home. Then she disappeared. Nobody saw her again. In the meantime, the peddler came to the house and asked for the price of his bracelets. When she was not to be found at home, her relatives began to run about looking for her. Ranjit Rai sent people in all directions to search for her. The money owed to the peddler was found in the box as she had indicated. Ranjit Rai was weeping bitterly when people came running to him and said that they had noticed something in the lake. They all ran there and saw an arm with conch shell bracelets on the wrist being waved above the water. A moment afterwards, it disappeared. Even now, people worship her as the Divine Mother at the time of the annual festival to him. All this is true. This is not a legendary story. This is not imagined by somebody. So Thakur says it is true. All this is true. Yes, sir. Master Narendranath believes these things. He was not believing your mental, used to say. But he himself experienced many such things and then he believed. Purna was born with an element of Vishnu. Who has seen that? I worshipped him mentally with bell leaves. Bell leaves are meant for Shiva, but the offering was not accepted. Then I worshipped him with tulsi leaves and sandal paste that proved to be all right. So Thakur has from inside tested whether he is Vishnu or Shiva. God reveals himself in many ways, sometimes as man, sometimes in other divine forms made of spirit. One must believe in divine forms. What do you say? M. It is true, sir. Because M was not believing in forms in the beginning, but he has come to believe. Master, the Brahmani of Kamarhati sees many visions. Thakur called her Brahmani of Kamarhati. Her name was Agormani. And she realized child Krishna. And she also realized Thakur as the child Krishna. So her name became Gopal's mother, the mother of child Krishna. She sees many visions. She lives all by herself in a lonely room in a garden on the bank of the Ganges. She spends her time in Jaipur. Gopal sleeps with her. The master gives a start because that thrills him. Huh? It is not imagination, but fact. She saw that Gopal's palms were red. He walks with her. She suckles him at her breast. They talk to each other. When Narendra heard this story, he wept. It was Thakur who arranged that. He told Gopal Verma to talk to Narendra, describe him all your. Formerly, I too used to see many visions, but now in my ecstatic state, I don't see so many. Sometimes he sees, but normally Nirvikalpa. I am gradually getting over my feminine nature. I feel nowadays more like a man. Therefore, I control my emotions. I don't manifest it outwardly so much. That was true of Narendra also. The younger Naren has the nature of a man. Therefore, in meditation, his mind completely merges in the ideal. He does not show emotion. Nitya Gopal has a feminine nature. Therefore, while he is in a spiritual mood, his body becomes distorted and twisted. It becomes flushed to him. Well, people renounce grain by grain. But what a mood these youngsters are in. Okay? We can stop here. Okay, we'll stop here. Now my mark will be clear. That was a mark clear, but anyway. Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kaviviriritam Kalma Shapam Shravana Mangalam Shrimadaatatam Bhui Grunanti Ye Bhuridajana Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.